There's a law that says women should be able to have access to spaces that biological men cannot. That is now a right that's enshrined in law. When you say that trans women should be allowed into there, you are competing against that right.
I think that the guidance hasn't been accepted yet. We're waiting to see if the government are going to reject the EHRC guidance, which I think, and many organisations, Good Law Project are saying creating third spaces for trans people is against their human rights and against the Equalities Act. So I think I think this is something we need to keep looking at.
But the Supreme Court ruling is the Supreme Court ruling. It's called the Supreme Court for a reason. They've said biological sex means a woman is someone who's born a woman. I'm just interested as Hackney Mayor, you can't do anything about that, can you? Are you saying that trans women should have rights to women's only spaces in Hackney? Would you support that?
I think what we need to talk about is how people are living their everyday lives and what people... I'm talking to kind of Trans Legal Clinic and other organisations to make sure that the rights of trans people aren't being excluded from public life and that people are able to get the support and the services that they need.
So do you want, broadly, you want trans women to be able to access women's spaces in Hackney? You would like that to happen?
I deeply care about the safety of women in Hackney. I've made this a priority. I've retained community safety in my responsibilities because, domestic violence in this country needs to seriously be looked at. And I think this whole conversation is completely ignoring the fact that women are most under threat from a domestic partner,
we very much regularly have conversations about domestic violence. I know that you care about that, but my question is a slightly different one. Would you like there to be in Hackney the fact that trans women can enter women-only spaces?
So I think it's about what we're talking about in terms of women-only spaces. Like trans women, for me, should have the right to access women's spaces. That's, they are women.
Well, they're not according to the law. That's precisely what the Supreme Court's saying. They're not biological women.
But I think this is why we need to look at what spaces we're talking about, how
it might be change rooms, it might be refuges, places where women want to be away from men. The law says that trans women are not allowed there, and I think you're saying you wouldn't want to uphold that law. But
trans women are women, and they face higher risks of sexual violence than most.
But they're not women. But they're not women according to the Supreme Court.
But then I think, then that's where I think we have a problem, and I think we'll continue to see that challenged, because if we want to keep women safe, then this ruling doesn't do that.